Don't you dare be sour. Collect for your world famous podcast chips and feel the power.
It's a cold day. Yes, it is.
It is definitely a cold day here in good old Chicago.
It's so cold. Wow.
It's not cold in the D, it's cold in the shack.
Outside is cold, but like inside, if you got like a heated place, it's like hotter than like Mandy Rose and Brandy Rose making out in the sauna.
Oh man. I just instantly went to that thought in my head too. That's a good thought.
It's good times.
Good
It's
time.
nice.
All right, peeps. I want to welcome y'all to episode 2 of season 3 of the Hot Take Wrestling Podcast. I am your boy, Old Man Logan, here with my boys, the host with the most, Mr. KG, aka Kenny G, aka Ken Gardner.
I'm just letting everybody know I should probably go back to law school if I'm gonna be Ken Gardner, but like for the people, Assistant District Attorney Ken Gardner.
I'm
Changed
with
my
it.
major and everything. There you have it.
Dark Knight Rises. All right.
I'm a fan. I like all that.
All right. That other voice you just heard there, y'all know who it is. Producer extraordinaire, Mr. Joe Freezy.
Salutations, greetings, everyone. Thank you so much for following us. First episode. Shouts out to all the podcasts for wrestling, especially since Black History Month. Shouts out to all the Black podcasts for wrestling, all the Black podcasts, period. Okay? NMG Network, Mother 11 Clark Street, Mother 11 Dirty Heels, all the above, man. Appreciate y'all, man. Oh, Black Wrestling Alliance, shout out to them as well.
Yo, I gotta say shout out to the Dirty Heels real quick because they got in the DMs the other day. I made a post, the Undertaker post y'all probably saw by the IG comedian You Can This, and I put it on the page and then they hit the DM and they was like, "Yo, is it okay if we repost it?" And I was like, "Sure, like you know what I'm saying? It's all good. Like yo, it ain't ours, so I just thought it was funny, so we put it on our page, like whatever." But the fact that they hit the DM and asked first. Just classy guys, man. Classy gents.
God,
So salute to y'all, man.
those guys
Salute
always
to
post like likes and everything else for us too, and they always shout us out whenever they start posting or whatever. So shouts out Dirty Heroes in New York. They're awesome, bro. I love them guys.
shouts out to Dirty Heels. They didn't pull a Robin Thicke on us. All right.
Seriously, there.
They saw the post and was like, "I know you want it."
So like Joe said, man, big shout out to all the other wrestling podcasts that have been showing us love, man. Feels good. Y'all been supporting, y'all checking us out, leaving some comments on the video. We finally up on YouTube. A lot of people kind of was commenting. They was liking some of the stuff we were talking about in terms of tag teams and stuff. So I just want to thank y'all. We following y'all following us. So that's how this thing works, man. It's, teamwork make the dream work. Let's support each other in our endeavors, all across the board.
That's my Nation of Domination. Wait, there we go. I'm in the picture now.
All right. So before we get started, we got to start on a bit of a somber note. We got to say rest in peace to Butch Reed. Okay, he's most notably known as the tag team member managed by Teddy Long with his partner Ron Simmons. He passed away. It was Friday or was it Thursday?
Friday.
I read the article last night, so I want to say it was last night. I want to fact check first.
Okay.
They put it on his Instagram.
Okay, but rest in peace to Butch Reed. He was 66 years old.
Yes, it was yesterday.
Okay, so it was yesterday. So big shout out to him, his family. Prayers and blessings, blessings and prayers for Teddy Long and, Ron Simmons as well, because they obviously had to be friends. They worked together. I think they were in WCW, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And that was Do-Rag Teddy Long too. Like that was like Throwback, do-rag.
Yeah. So I just want to say that before we get started, man. And salute, happy Black History Month, man. And rest in peace to all of the Black wrestlers who have gone on and transitioned on into the next life. All right. So with that being said, gents, where do y'all want to start? I think a good starting point is something that kind of took place a couple of weeks ago. We haven't had a chance to touch on it. We had the Rumble last week, and we were getting back started for season 3. Undertaker recently made some comments about the locker room, current day locker room in WWE versus the good old days, kind of as he put it. Undertaker, to me, kind of reminds me of Clint Eastwood in Unforgiven. He's like the last gunslinger.
You know, good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah, like that's who he is right now to me. And for him to make the comments, I didn't. We have to understand that everybody's not going to be politically correct. Everybody's not going to be PC when they're making comments like this. So I respected his comments. If he felt like that, hey, say what you feel. But to bring some context to what was said, though, he basically, for lack of a better term, called current day locker room soft.
Did he do it correctly? Did he spell it correctly, or did he do Enzo SAWFT?
Sure.
No, all right, no. All jokes aside, I will say this. Here's the thing. Everybody puts Attitude Era on this pedestal, right? As if everything great was going on. To say the locker room soft and this, that, the other. This doesn't necessarily pertain to the locker room, but lest we forget the dog kennel match with Al Snow and Big Boss Man.
Yeah.
Lest we forget the evening gown match with rest his soul, Pat Patterson and Gerald Briscoe. Like what does he want? Like, just because the era has changed doesn't mean like wrestlers are soft. One of the most brutal matches I've ever seen without weapons, as I've said numerous times on this podcast, was Walter versus Ilya Dragunov. This was just last year. Beat the holy hell out of each other. Don't tell me the locker room is softer now than it is back then. I'm sorry. That's all I got to say. I see where he's going, but don't tell me there wasn't guys that didn't want to get hit in the face. Like Shawn Michaels is notorious, as great as he is as an in-ring performer, from being super flamboyant. Meanwhile, you have the other top tier guy who comes out and gives us sunglasses, who's the badass that every dude wants to be, Bret Hart.
Yeah. Well, I don't think in terms of in-ring ability and all that kind of stuff, he was calling them soft. He kind of said something like, back in the day, guys were back there drinking and had guns in their bags, and they were living that renegade lifestyle for and that's kind of to a degree. You watch Dark Side of the Ring. If you watched any wrestling docs, we know that to be fact. You know what I'm saying? It's not like he's lying in that regard. But here's my retort to it. I'd much rather these guys be quote unquote soft than continuing down that path, because that's why we don't have so many of our legends here today. That's True. Why Mr. Perfect isn't here. That's why a Rick Rude isn't here. That's why a Yokozuna isn't here. That's why, who else? Mike Austin.
The list goes on.
The list goes on. Bam Bam Bigelow. It's so many guys. You just mentioned them. Big Boss Man. It is so many of these guys that have transitioned and are no longer here because of unhealthy living, unhealthy lifestyles, things that they were doing back in that day, in that era, heavy drug usage, heavy drinking, steroids, you name it, it was going on in that time. And
okay, I'll give you this. In terms of we know who's one of the greatest, easily 5 or 10 greatest in-ring performers ever, Shawn Michaels, right?
Mm-hmm.
He wants to call today's era soft. Who do you want to run? Who would you least want to run into a back alley with, Shawn Michaels or Jon Moxley? I'm sorry. don't like there's soft people, period. I'm not saying Shawn Michaels was soft, but I'm just saying like who was like being pushed as like the top tier guy then compared to like now, you know, as far as like hardcore fans.
Right. So
Joe, you want to chime in on this? I'm sorry, we kind of like
yeah.
I think more so his whole gauge on it was more so as a locker room being like how the NBA kind of is now.
Okay.
Where everyone's friendly. And I'm like, no one's competing to take someone's
like AAU generation type thing.
Okay. Yeah. Like it's one of those things I want to play. You know, I want to play with my homies. It's that type of thing. And I think it has turned to that. But again, just like old man Logan said, like I would rather it be like that than the way it was back in the day. Because there were some matches, bro. Like if I'm being honest, okay. For example, the Bret Hart versus Stone Cold match, where Stone Cold has a crimson mask on and is like out from the. That's a classic match, right?
WrestleMania history.
Right, like it's one of the dopest matches in WrestleMania history. You know? Like, but it had like what? Wrestling, it had fighting, it had a storyline to it, it had good things to
it. Yeah.
Right. But even if we go to stuff like Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar, where Roman was like bleeding like a stuffed pig, and that match was trash.
It really was.
Like it wasn't even but Attitude Era, but I guarantee you, Attitude Era, that'd be like, oh, that was such a great match. Because it was like blood and guts everywhere. But that's not what matters. Like, at this point, people are understanding that I can still be successful in this business by being friendly. There's no brass ring in the WWE because honestly, Vince has made it where there's no brass ring. He's like, no one goes after it. You haven't made it so. You give stuff like for example, the people that grab the actual apparent indivisible brass ring that you got, you don't back. You don't appreciate, you don't believe in, you don't offer more opportunities to them. You just think they just do well and they are well, all right, go from there at that point. Like, for example, WCW had AJ Styles. They got rid of him. You got Cesaro now, apparently. Hopefully, you don't have him anymore. I don't even know if he got.
He re-signed, and I'll let you get back to. Sorry, real quick. I'll be like 10 seconds with this. I respect Cesaro because we know how underrated he is, but he isn't going on social media and bitch complain about his position in the company. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. Yes. And that's one of the things that I really respect about him because he knows he deserves it. He knows for a fact he deserves a higher spot. Because Cesaro faced Daniel Bryan SmackDown, and I was like, okay, this might be his swan song or whatever. Because they actually had a decent match for like the small amount of time that the machine keeps giving them for the actual wrestlers on the freaking show. Anyway,
too much Guinness, man.
Said, I just don't understand it, bro. Like, everybody has complaints about different eras, but Undertaker complaining about this to me is just I take it with a grain of salt. He's one of the GOATs. He's one of the great ones. But still, like what does it matter? You're not there no more. Like, it doesn't matter. This is just one of those guys in back in my day type shit. Like when your grandparents used to say, well, we used to walk barefoot and snow to get to school. Well, you know what? Not doing it now. Put your boots on in the car. Let's ride in the car. We're not doing that right now, okay? The school's not miles away. It's right down the street. We're going to drive down there. We're not doing that right now. This is all this is, bro. And honestly, I no disrespect, but it doesn't make a difference. I care less. I like wrestling the way it is now.
I mean, I don't think he was saying it in a disrespectful manner. I think he was just stating like, yo, like things are different now. You know what I mean? Kind of, it also reminded me of something Mike would say. Like Mike would say, hey, as in Michael Jordan, Mike would say, yo, I didn't want to play with Barkley. I wanted to beat Barkley. I didn't want to play with Patrick Ewing. I wanted to beat Patrick Ewing. You know, it could have been possible for Mike to tell Barkley, yo, look, y'all come to Chicago, man. Let's get these rings going. You know, that could have happened in that era, but they were competitive on another level. And shit, that was the bar. I want to beat Michael Jordan. You know what I'm saying? So I don't necessarily think he was saying it to be disrespectful. It's just saying, hey, yo, look, my era was different, you know? And hey, you know, that's why we have AJ who's pushing, what is he pushing, 50? He'll be 50 in a couple of years. And he looks fucking great. He's in great shape. He can continue to wrestle. Sure, he takes a lot of risks with his style, but, you know, being that he's not back there with a bottle of Jack every night and substances that may or may not be illegal. You know what I'm saying? That's why
Come on, wait, AJ Styles?
So. Yeah.
I don't know. He ain't pushing 50. He's like Cena's age. It's like maybe 42, 43. I get what you were saying, though.
Yeah.
Still,
I just want to say
in that same vein, I kind of get what you were saying. But I'll equate this to this. He sounds like Shaq hating on this generation's big man. Times have changed. That's all I'm saying. That's all I think me and Joe are getting at.
Absolutely. I'm not disagreeing with y'all. I'm not disagreeing with y'all.
Yeah, no. I'm not saying that you are. I'm just saying I see where he's coming from, but like, it's different. Like, why do they have to prove that they're tough guys, quote unquote? Because at the same time, maybe they were doing that because they knew what was going on backstage, but maybe there was more politicking back then.
Yeah.
Compared to this generation. Like, maybe there's not as much backstabbing. Like, you had the Shawn Michaels, the whole clique thing where they were like going and trying to get their position type, quote unquote type thing. Yeah. But now it's like maybe Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins and, well, I ain't gonna say Charlotte because clearly she politics. But that's neither here nor there. But you don't have like Bayley's possibly, or like Becky, or people like that. Even Ronda Rousey, where it's like, she didn't completely get hot-shotted to the title. She was around for about 5 months damn near without the title.
Yeah.
So maybe in a sense it's different.
Yeah, and the whole time it's like it's kind of annoying. Like, it's honestly, it's really, really, really annoying to, like, not to have this specific conversation, but more so just the fact that, like, yet and still we have all this ability in the company and WWE, and it's not being utilized. We get the same thing. We get the same sour thing from stuff that we don't need, that we don't want. Like, we don't want Goldberg back. We didn't want him. We never want him back. We don't want Skinny Leg Goldberg back. Push some of your other talent. There's no brass for you to get. Listen, you know what you're going to do already. You're going to give something to Roman. You're going to give something to the people that have been in the industry for God knows how long. And you're not cultivating your talent anymore because you think there's no competition. But to kind of put a random note in here, AEW, New Japan, Ring of Honor, Impact, and MLW are all working together to overthrow, guess who? WWE. It's coming. It's eventually going to happen. There's talks of it right now. It's rumored to be happening right now. It's coming. Once that happens, that's a different type of game that you don't want to play. Now you have to play the international game, the long international game, the whole thing. We'll see how strong that locker room is at that point. That's changing the whole dynamic because now you're not stressed out about your money. Now, if that happens, if Cody is getting all these people together as an alliance, just let's just be ready for a whole fucking war that we didn't even want. Because Wednesday Night Wars wasn't even fair for the first couple of weeks, and then now it's going to get ugly all over again. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah, he's like super ego tripping from a standpoint is he doesn't want people going out and venturing, and that's why I was like sarcastic, last week, or not even last week, 5 days ago, about like Sasha getting to the Mandalorian money before Charlotte, but maybe that's why Sasha's finally getting a legit title run. It's like, you have to understand that, like, his own bubble in his mind is like not the same as like what these other people see outside of WWE. And it's like he sees like a Rock who doesn't need WWE anymore. He sees a Stone Cold to a degree, like he'll come back and do his thing, but like he doesn't need them. And maybe that's what his thing is. And he wants people to need him. He's like, people crack the joke about, they cracked the joke on AEW about Chris Jericho being a tag team slut, but like maybe Vince McMahon is like an inner slut himself, where it's like he has to like put himself out here to keep others from doing other things.
It's just,
and maybe that's what he's scared of. Because I could easily see a Drew McIntyre going out with his personality and being something else. From what he's shown this time, like not 10 years ago Drew McIntyre, but definitely this Drew McIntyre.
Because this Drew McIntyre is from the indie age now. Because this Drew McIntyre that we have in front of us is from somebody who developed his character, developed his body, and worked really hard on his craft or whatever, because he put all the tools in the tools bag, whatever. He worked his ass off to get where he is. And the problem with that is that when you're under the WWE umbrella, when you're sitting for a long time and you're just doing like main event matches and you're not really competing and you're not having to work, it's different. When you're on the indie circuit, you can wrestle with someone for 15, 10 minutes, work on your craft, and still train and still work out on other joints, whatever. But it's different now. Now you have, I think Ricochet was probably one of the biggest free agents in like 2017, 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Right, bro? Mm-hmm. Like, and now he's sitting on his ass.
They sabotaged Ricochet. They sabotaged their whole company at times.
Once they made the AJ Styles program of Ricochet last for 3 months, I was like, that's it. They're not going to use it no more.
And they did that so dirty because that could have been so much better.
That could have been a long ass fucking program, bro. And that could have been one of those things where 30-minute matches. 30-minute matches with AJ Styles and Ricochet. Oh my God. Them matches were amazing on the indies, bro. Amazing.
And they did said dirty too, because I was looking forward to him and AJ when they because like Paul Heyman wanted to push Ced, and I was like, all right, I'm down for AJ and Ced. They did the same thing where like they didn't even give them 10 minutes barely.
That stuff was on I'm telling you, Joe, PWG has so much talent. Like with the whole Ced, I think Ced faced Ricochet in their tournament there for Battle of LA. And I think so did Ced versus Tozawa, I think. Don't quote me on that. That might not be right. But still, like most of the PWG, most like the Battle of LA people are like all cruiserweights from like the cruiserweight tournament. So like the fact that they're not being utilized and really being pushed, like, okay, bro, stop with the Akira Tozawa ninja thing, bro. That shit gotta stop. Like that shit's gotta that's gotta be done. We gotta be done with it. We gotta be done with that. Like that. Put it back on NXT. Let Trips work one figure out what to do with it. And they're not even using Kushida anymore. What is going on? I'm done.
Oh no, Kushida's getting ready to get the North American Championship push. You know, he's having a title match, I think, against Johnny Champ next pay-per-view.
Need to have right now, bro. Take too long.
Yeah.
Yeah, but even that shows like everybody thinks Triple H has this figured out, but it's like, how does Johnny Gargano never have easily their best in the ring performer that's walked through the doors, in my opinion? How's he not had a legit title run until now? He's been there almost 5 years.
Is it more so because Johnny likes to put people over because he understands?
He could be the Daniel Bryan type. That's true.
Because honestly, like, remember when he first got there, we didn't really talk about it. Like, we didn't really talk about Johnny Gargano being in there, but we realized it was a big deal after like DIY, championship. Because I think I'm not gonna say this because I don't want to be an ass. No one wants to move up to Raw or SmackDown.
It's not being an ass. It's true. Like I'll say Raw. SmackDown maybe because they dedicate enough time, I feel like, to most of the divisions. Even the tag team is just like, I think they'd even get more of a spotlight if they just eliminated the 2 tag team champions, as we've elaborated on, because there's not enough tag teams to have that. That's the only gripe I see with SmackDown is the tag team division as far as storyline wise.
Yeah, and it's if you have a 3-hour show, I'm not understanding why some of these timelines you're not really updating. Like, why are you not making some of these things relevant and making them exciting? You're really wasting your time. So I'm done with this now. I'm done with this.
No, it's true though. Like, well, who wants to see anything on Raw outside of like the Hurt Business, Drew McIntyre, and Randy Orton? That's about it. That's the only highlights you're going to get from Raw. I'm sorry. And Alexa, it's not even a disrespect. Right, the development of Alexa Bliss. You're on my mistake. I'll give you credit for that, right? Because she's been killing it with her gimmick. If she keeps it up, she'll definitely win like best gimmick of 2021.
Yeah, so she's been murdering it. I am thoroughly impressed with Alexa Bliss right now. This overall character, I am highly impressed with Alexa Bliss.
Shout out to Columbus, Ohio. That's an inside joke.
You mean you don't want to see Miz and Morrison?
No,
because they jagged Miz when he was hot with the B team. Again.
Yeah, that should have been like 3 or 4 years ago when Miz got the world title or Universal Championship.
Wait, hold on. Is the B team still signed to WWE?
No, they dropped the ball because they should have put Curtis Axel in a tag team with Adam Rose and called him Axel Rose. Yeah, you see what I did there?
I did.
No, all jokes aside, no, they Miz talking wise should have had a better stable around him. B Team was over, but like you couldn't take them serious. The one time because they tried to put them against the Shield. The one time, honestly, to switch topics that I took a threat to the Shield was before Ambrose got injured when they had Samoa Joe with Cesaro and Sheamus. That was like probably potentially one of the best feuds the Shield could have had.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe if they put Miz with Cesaro and Sheamus, you could have intertwined them. But yeah, that's my 2 cents.
No argument there. No argument there. All right. So while we're on Raw, this past week, are there any highlights that stood out to you guys?
Okay. All right. I want to knock this out because I just talked about it. I want to talk about it. Okay. So, cool thing about Alexa Bliss. All right. If you watched Alexa Bliss over time, or if you watched, matter of fact, I do one better. If you heard from our podcast recently, we've kind of given Alexa Bliss a hard time. I'm saying because we watched her live on Money in the Bank when she was about to cash in.
Mm.
Okay. And we weren't fans. We were not fans. We were not. I will say we were not fans. If someone else was a fan, speaking out for everyone, peace. Okay, we were not.
No, you can speak for everyone because it literally made no sense because she literally dropped the championship a month or two before Money in the Bank, and then it's like, oh, we're gonna put the briefcase on it. What sense did that make? Go ahead though.
Yeah. So look, so my thinking of it was like, okay, Alexa Bliss is getting pushed because it's a Vince thing. She's blonde, so therefore, there you go. But I would like to say I was extremely wrong about Alexa Bliss and the fact that even in ring she's getting better, especially her match against Asuka last week, I believe. And then now with character development, the way that she's blurring the lines with Randy Orton is pretty damn awesome.
Mm-hmm.
She helped Edge beat Randy Orton, but the thing of it is like to see Alexa Bliss, cute, prissy, 5'1" Alexa Bliss, sit in the corner, smile a little bit, and then black gunk streaming out of her mouth. Oh, the character, the drama. What's wrong with beautiful, sweet Alexa Bliss?
The entire world is watching.
Exactly.
Sorry.
We don't know. We have no idea. It's scary. It's creepy. It could be The Conjuring. She could have back stomach ache. We don't know. Amazing. It's fantastic. For me, that's the highlight of the night. It wasn't the end of the night, but that's one of the highlights of the night. And I love Alexa Bliss for it. She's awesome. She's amazing.
I bet Buddy Murphy's regretting the fact that he moved on to Leah. I'm sorry.
Too soon.
No, I'll co-sign that though. No, her development has been amazing. I'll say, highlight for Raw for me is they finally went with the turn of Sheamus on Drew McIntyre. I think if they do this correctly, at least I don't want it to be a straight up wrestling match. I want this to be a street fight. I think this could be probably one of the better street fights in WWE in the last 5 years or so. That's my highlights from Raw.
Gotcha. Well, to piggyback on what Joe said, I definitely liked what's going on with Randy Orton and Alexa Bliss. Salute to Bray Wyatt for obviously being a horror fan, because me being a guy that's big on horror, this is Poltergeist. I don't know if you guys ever watched this back in the day. Poltergeist movie.
No, I did not. Go ahead. Sorry.
I see it.
Yeah. But it's just basically a horror movie. Girl gets possessed. She goes into the TV kind of thing. You got to watch it. The first two are good. After that, it's just kind of, nosedive. But yeah, this is horror 101. Like, this stuff that they're pulling from with The Fiend. And I'm really enjoying it because the people that they have involved with this particular storyline, it's like a mashup of Poltergeist and Nightmare on Elm Street, which is what's going on right now. Outside of that, it's more of what KG said. You interested in the Hurt Business, The Fiend, Alexa Bliss, and Who else did you say, KG?
I said Drew and Randy. That's about it.
And Drew, yeah.
Those 4 or 5 people, or her business is stable, but yeah.
Yeah. I did like. I mean, it was a short match, but I do like the brutality. How they're letting Big Bobby go out there and be the monster. You know what I mean? That he's supposed to be. Like finally, like let's invest in Bobby Lashley. Like he was a MMA guy. You know, I don't think he got the same accolades as Brock, but to still step into the octagon for more than one match and be somewhat successful with it, I think that's the way to go with it, especially being that they got him and Riddle going back and forth right now. So me personally, y'all know I've been a big Bobby guy for a minute, so I've been enjoying that. And Edge and Orton was a highlight for me too. But something we didn't mention, man, Carlito's back. You guys feeling about that, man? He came back at the Rumble looking pretty good.
I just need to know, is he wasting good apples like the pink lady joints, or is he just spitting like the typical apples you get at the produce stand?
Well, you know, Carlito definitely ain't stopping at Aldi's and grabbing the apples. So, you know, craft services are back there. It's the good joints, man. It's the good apples being wasted.
I mean, you know, it's a budget cut with Kobe, man. You never know. No, all jokes aside, though. I'll say this about going back to the Hurt Business. They might have pulled the trigger too soon. Like I said, that's why I didn't, when we talked about this during the summer of last year with Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre. That's why I didn't want to see that at that point, because I knew Bobby wasn't going to get the title. Here's a hot take right here for you. They're running out of opponents for Drew. If the rumors are true that Ed's going after the Universal Championship on SmackDown, we'll get to SmackDown in a little bit. I think they're going to call Karrion Kross up, and somehow maybe they do an Elimination Chamber. He's going after Drew. There's no one else left. There you have it. Karrion Kross versus Drew McIntyre. WrestleMania 37, ladies and gentlemen.
That'll be the fastest rise probably since Brock Lesnar.
There would be, but they don't have anyone else. Unless they revisit Bobby, and I'm not mad at that. It's just rare that you revisit a heel going after the championship. That seems like a babyface move.
Yeah, because I can't rest on them saying, hey, we're going to go with a program with Drew and Sheamus in the next.
No, because there's a pay-per-view in between, so it's like you can't hold that off for 3 months off.
That's what I was going to say.
2 months, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they'll say, let's do. I don't know if it's going to necessarily be called Fastlane. It might be something else.
Yeah, it will be. It will be Fastlane. It's in March. I don't know if that's the next one, but there's a Fastlane in March. I don't know if there's one in between then and WrestleMania, but
yeah. So I don't know if you go with that for the next 2
or another one. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know if you go with that for the next 2 pay-per-views. I mean, it depends. Is Braun Strowman on SmackDown, back on SmackDown, or is he on Raw?
I think he still shoots with Raw. They just did the whole thing with Adam Pearce because Braun was apparently injured, so they needed to write him out of the storylines. So they were supposed to do Braun and Drew at TLC, and that's why they did the AJ thing. Personally, I guess you could go Braun maybe at WrestleMania.
I'm thinking Braun because, like, going through the rest of this list of what happened on Raw, Damian Priest apparently is on Raw now. I don't think you shotgun him just yet to that space. Not saying that you can't, but I just, being that they got him and they look like a program with Miz right now, I don't know if that necessarily takes place. So I'm thinking maybe Braun, if Edge does in fact go after the Universal title. I can't really see anybody but Braun. But Karrion, maybe I could see a space of that working. That particular character, I could see that being attractive to the machine, as y'all put it last week. Because you got Bobby in the mid card. Bobby's the mid card champion right now. And it looked like Kofi's going to be feuding with Mustafa Ali, as Joe put it last week.
Mustafa.
So yeah, man, I guess if you don't go with Karrion, I guess the safe bet is Braun, unless by some chance we do see one Brock Lesnar return, but I don't know if that's going to take place. I personally ain't don't want it, but I'm not in charge. I'm not writing the checks at WWE. So
see, that was the rumor too. I don't know if they're sticking with their plans. The rumor was supposed to be a triple threat again with Drew, Keith Lee, and Brock. That was the rumor like 2 months ago. So we'll see. Are you sipping on Mike's Hard Lemonade?
I totally am, and I didn't mention it because they didn't sponsor us yet. So
we'll cut that out. They ain't getting no free. They ain't getting no love.
No free pub. Everything.
Joe, what's going on, man? You switched with the hoodie. What's going on?
I'm so cold, bro. I am so cold, bro.
You're doing a Fiend right now. He was Braid. Now he's,
I'm cold, bro.
Now he's Yosef.
Let me.
He went from Joe to Yosef.
Bro, I was so cold, fool.
Go ahead, though.
When is Keith Lee coming back? Do we know?
Oh, Mia tested positive for COVID. That's why he wasn't even in the Rumble. So I don't know who they gave his spot to, but I'm glad they, they're being cautious. So we'll see what they do with Keith. I mean, although I'm not gonna, I would say Keith Lee's spot should be, by that point he'd have the title for about almost 9 months. I'm guessing Bobby Lashley's putting Keith Lee over for the United States Championship, and I wouldn't be mad at that match. It gets a legitimate opponent for Keith Lee when you're presenting a 330-pound plus baby face. You need someone believable for him to beat.
I wouldn't be. I wouldn't be.
Go ahead, bro.
Like Keith Lee versus Drew McIntyre, and then they somehow bring Braun ass back. That would be annoying, but they'll probably do it. I don't know. It's stupid. I don't want Brock. I don't miss Brock at all. Like I don't miss nothing about him.
Can Keith Lee just join the Hurt Business already?
When's that gonna happen? Because that would make me very happy.
I wouldn't be mad at that if they. Like I said a while ago, they dropped the ball by giving Miz the briefcase. The briefcase should have went to like somebody in the Hurt Business, i.e., Bobby Lashley. Could have put the briefcase on him and like had Keith Lee win the U.S. title. Or you know what? I don't know. They're doing this weird thing. We'll get into NXT in a little bit. Where they're doing Santos Escobar cut the scathing promo against like all the other champions and people that touch the title, where like he's feuding with Karrion Kross. Like you could have put at some point, like I said, like you could have put the cruiserweight strap on Ricochet because he is criminally overrated. Underrated. Sorry. Outside of him, I would say, like I said in WWE, she's just won the Rumble. Bianca Belair was my most underrated. Like Ricochet and her were like neck and neck for who's, and they weren't even doing her dirty. They're doing Ricochet dirty on Raw. Like to the point where it's just like it's almost worse than Cesaro 5 years ago. How bad they're doing Ricochet.
I just want them to just give, like, I don't want them waiting 10 years for a run like Kofi did. Like don't do that, guys. Come on now. Like in his prime, Ricochet right now is probably one of the best in-ring performers you got. Put him with Drew McIntyre. This is money. You don't even need him on a program, just a good ass program of just two good ass wrestlers going at it. Yes, just come on. That's all I'm looking for right now. Because WrestleMania is going to be a spectacle. It's going to be entertainment, and then you're going to give me boo-boo matches. Like whoever Edge goes against, I'm not worried about because Edge's in-ring format is good, and they'll make something work. Roman's on fire. Drew's been on fire. And Finn's on fire. But I just think at some point you have to make a decision. Am I going to develop, or am I going to go back to my same old shit? So we just got to be good with these matches, man. These matches got to be better.
I agree. When they did the draft, just to bring it back to Ricochet, I really wanted Ricochet to go to SmackDown because I thought he could have had a place there. Now, granted, they got Big E, in that mid card right now, and he's doing great. I'm not saying he wouldn't, I'm not saying Ricochet would do better. But to me, Ricochet is just that type of a person where if we're going to do the slow build with him, we're going to slow cook with him, I would probably, he did the tag team thing with Sid, and that's why I thought they were going with that. They had him and Sid together for a while, and they were good as a tag team. but obviously that didn't materialize. They had Sid Turn join the Hurt Business, and Rico was just out there, just doing Rico solo dolo. So I think he should have been on either. He should have got drafted to either SmackDown or went back to NXT. Him on Raw is just kind of like he's treading water, and it's not gonna work. It's as long as Vince keeps treating him like he's old school, Neville, the guy that does the flippy stuff. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work.
Especially since now that Neville's like an actual Impact player at freaking AEW, and you're not gonna
use
what you got. You just basically just giving him talent now.
And that's one of them things, that has to change in WWE. Because like you guys said, you see all of these other feds are collaborating, working together. You're starting to see these championships pop up on AEW, the New Japan US titles popping up now. It's only a matter of time before Omega puts the AAA championship on there, So
yeah, he did it once against Sammy Guevara during the pandemic, but maybe on a regular, don't do it.
Yeah. So, this is the time to really refine and retune your product that you still ultimately have three brands. Like I was going through the results today and getting that ready to post them. And WWE still low-key give you wrestling 5 days a week. Like I was looking on there at the results and I was like, oh shit, like I didn't really realize like the days that they emphasize on are just Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but you still have stuff on Tuesdays and Thursdays too.
Mm-hmm.
And
actually, I'll fact check myself. He didn't defend the championship during that number one contendership eliminator tournament. Kenny Omega, when he was in the process of turning heel, showed the AAA World Championship against Ray Phoenix, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. No, against Penta. Sorry, Ray Phoenix got injured in that match against Penta, and when he wrestled Penta, he had the championship underneath his shirt, and he revealed that he was wearing it. So,
all right,
yeah, but I'll get to go back. Sorry about that. I just wanted to fact check myself.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I'm gonna run through Impact really quickly, some highlights for Impact, so we can go to the shows we definitely, have had a chance to watch and thoroughly, dissect a little bit more. Impact, some highlights. Impact Women's Tag Champ Tasha Steelz with her partner Kiera Hogan took on Havoc, and Havoc won with the Tombstone Pile Driver. Jordan Grace won her match with the Grace Driver. She had Jazz in tow with her against Susan, and Susan had Deonna Purrazzo and Kimberly with her. And Rich Swann and Tommy Dreamer had a match versus Moose and Chris Bay, and Moose and Chris Bay were the winners for that particular match. All righty. So at some point, we're going to definitely get to a point where we are it'll be on a secondary show with our buddies Will and Phil, and they'll go over Impact a little bit more, and they'll go over NXT a little bit more. So that'll kind of be like our SmackDown show. It'll be a show and a B show, if you will, and they'll go over the shows that we don't necessarily highlight here on this particular show. All right. So from there, Big Joe, we're going to jump into NXT. But before we jump into NXT, Joe, off the cuff now, we have to give the people a WCW of the week because we forgot to get one on the actual IG page.
He's not here to do it, so I'll do it for him in his absence. WWE 95.5 and go from there. And then we're going to go to this WCW, change the music up right fast. Yeah, real jazzy. From the hood down. Yeah, here we go. I want to give it to Victoria as one. Can I do two? Can I do two?
You can totally do two.
I'm going to do two. I want to give it to Victoria. It was actually good seeing her in the Royal Rumble. I always thought Victoria was hella underrated. Like, she was really good in the ring. She was really good on the mic. She played her character well, even though they made her a psycho, which she was absolutely not a psycho. She was a beautiful woman that should have been respected for her ability in the ring. But obviously, the machine doesn't care. It's all right. We care here at Hot Take Wrestling Podcast. Also, number 2, who I want to do. Honestly, this is out of left field because I don't feel like we've ever done her. Have we done Rhea Ripley?
Yes, we have.
Damn it. Let's do her again. Because, all right, controversy right now. I know Bianca Belair technically won the Royal Rumble. Okay, I know she technically won. I know what they said. But if you go back and watch it, Bianca Belair touches with her 2 tippy toes. So
really?
Yeah. At the last portion of the match where they're doing that like thing when they're next to each other, they're pushing each other, and they both almost fall, but they don't fall. And then chill, stop. Bianca Belair's toes touch the ground. So technically, Rhea Ripley should have probably won that. But I digress. I think Rhea Ripley is the future of WWE's women's division because she puts people over. She fights whoever she wants. She wrestles whoever she wants, and she's not shy about getting mixed up with anybody. The match with her and Charlotte on WrestleMania was probably one of the best matches at WrestleMania, period, because she just did a hell of a job. Because she shouldn't have to give the title in the first place. She should still honestly have it. And the matches with
Shoehorn Charlotte.
Yep. And honestly, the matches with Io Shirai that she's had have been amazing. The matches with Raquel Gonzalez are going to make Raquel Gonzalez a dominant figure in the women's division because she worked with Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley, bro, like years ahead of her time too. And I'm scared to see if she can get better. If she gets better, what else are you gonna say about her in the women's division? Because you got to put her against Sasha now. You got to put her against Charlotte, the Beckys, and Bayley. And then Bianca Belair and her are going to be on a tear with each other because they're both coming from the same stable of like being in NXT. That match is going to tear the house down. God only knows what's going to happen at this point with Rhea Ripley because she's just phenomenal in the ring. And she's just amazing. She's an amazing individual as all. So Victoria is 1 because she's very underrated. And Rhea Ripley is 2 because she actually won the Women's Royal Rumble. I'll leave it there.
I mean, that's happened before in the Rumble, you know, with the whole feet touching. I definitely think, which one was that they made it a whole match? It was Lex Luger and who else? Where they end up having to have a match to determine.
Probably Bret Hart.
Was it that one?
Hi, Bret Hart.
Because I want to say when Shawn Michaels, I'm trying to remember what did he do? Did he knock over British the Bulldog? He was celebrating.
And
that year, yeah.
One place.
So, no, I think it was both. Go back and watch that a little bit.
The replay shows 1, so we're going to go with 1. It's Shawn freaking Michaels, okay? Michael Hickenbottom didn't touch that rope, okay? You stop it right now. He can touch that floor.
This is why I have a problem with the camera angles that are in use now in WWE. Because on several occasions, you saw the women kind of protecting Bianca. I saw Bianca almost fall one time in particular. And I don't know what the exact shot is called, but you see Bayley give her a hand to make sure she doesn't fall. Yeah, and it was at that moment. Now that's wrestling, babe, but still, that moment, I knew. I said, yeah, she's winning this thing.
I figured it out after they had eliminated. They had her eliminating like the people. Normally, this is going to be like a little Royal Rumble hat. The person that normally eliminates someone from the past is the one that's going to be the one to carry on and go to WrestleMania in that particular event. Normally, who eliminated Victoria and what's that singer? The terrible singer, was it Ashley?
No, it starts with an S, doesn't it?
Something like that. I don't know. But I think Bianca
the fake Britney Spears.
Yeah.
Come on, Jillian Hall.
Jillian. I'm way off. I said an S.
Not Jillian Hall. Jillian. The one that was just singing terribly or whatever. Because she was with Billie Kay and Riot Squad eliminated her. but I think Victoria had a run-in with Bianca Belair. Normally, when someone from the past has a run-in with someone who's like overhyped and has a Chronicle set up and they have like all this stuff, we already know who's going to win. Because Bianca Belair, if you get a chance, check out her Chronicle on WWE. That was pretty awesome. They had her set up because it was apparent they were going to push her. You know what I'm saying? So,
right.
Yeah.
All right. So, speaking of Raquel Gonzalez, on NXT, her and Dakota Kai had a Women's Dusty Cup semifinal match against Kaden and Casey.
Oh, you heard me, man. It's got to be a dagger. It's got to be like for you. It's got to be like on Hercules when they cut the hinds leg to the gods.
No, I'll be honest here. I knew they weren't winning, and they would have been. I wouldn't have had them meet up necessarily. I probably would have left them to meet up at the end, because Raquel and Dakota Kai, they're too good of a team, for this particular Dusty Cup. This tournament. That's the ideal team, at least to me, to win it all.
No, I'll piggyback off that. And like I said, they need to do what the men are doing where they get a tag team title match at the end of this because otherwise it's just winning a cup. And that's not to understate what Dusty meant to them at any point, but it's just like they're long overdue for some type of championships. And I understand titles are just props at the end of the day. It's all predetermined. But as far as their cohesiveness and everything of that nature, they definitely should be the tag team champions at some point. So I thought they should have kept the titles, like I said last week on Charlotte and Asuka, and had them defend the championships at next week's takeover against them.
Real quick. WWE, stop disrespecting my base, Shotzi Blackheart. Okay, she came in there to win. All right, y'all eliminated her very early. That was stupid.
Shotzi's definitely bad.
Shotzi is so bad, so rude for getting rid of her the way the man you got. Matter of fact, Shotzi, I'm sorry. Not okay.
It's really not. Like, how do you have her be the host of Halloween Havoc and then have her be the first woman eliminated in the Women's Royal Rumble? It makes zero sense whatsoever.
Why do that? That is one just in-ring wise, Shotzi is probably going to be flag bearer of the future. Like, I think she's going to be the one where you're like, okay, well, let's just have Shotzi go against it. It'll be like Gargano versus Andrade Almas.
I'm gonna be honest. She did that one submission I've never seen in my life, where she did the double underhook with her. I think it was against Candice LeRae, where she was on the mat. She did the double underhook, did a somersault into a submission with her arms captured. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I've never seen that before. Yeah, no, Shotzi's dope. I was shocked. I thought she was going to be, I want to say Final Four, but I thought she was going to be at least maybe one of the last 10 women eliminated. I was like, that was just a terrible way to eliminate her. Or at least maybe they shouldn't have put her in the Rumble that early if she was going to go out that early.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, that was bad. We'll see what they do with her. I would be shocked if she's not the next women's babyface to touch the NXT championship. I don't know if they're going to do the title change with Io, and she's doing a triple threat, which is the way a triple threat should be done. We do the babyface against two heels, against Mercedes Martinez and Toni Storm, where she looks like the ultimate underdog. If they do the title change, like I said, Shotzi should be the next babyface to get the title. We'll see if they shoot Io up to the main roster. This would be the best way to get the championship off of Io. He's had it going into TakeOver. It'll be almost 8 months. I don't put time frames on people's championship runs, especially during a pandemic where you can't really truly gauge the success of a championship other than maybe ratings, and even then they're kind of skewed, per segment type thing. But we'll see.
I mean, that's how she ended up with the title and the triple threat. So
kind
of be a full circle if it did transpire that way. Let me ask before we move on to a couple of other matches that took place on NXT. If you had the pencil, as they like to put it, you're booking this particular championship match. Are you having EO lose and giving it to Tony or Mercedes, or is she retaining?
Retaining, because I don't think Tony is a product of NXT UK, and you need to keep her in NXT UK. Mercedes Martinez needs to develop her character and then go from there. You put the championship on her too early, it's going to sully up the actual championship itself. You might as well give it to EO, let those guys develop. Because I love Toni Storm, but she doesn't belong in NXT. Like, because she's a staple in NXT. Like, who else is there in NXT UK besides Toni Storm and the champion that I can't think of his name is?
Well, this Piper Nevin, I haven't seen much of her. I know they've kind of like put her. They're kind of doing with her what they do with Joe Coffey, where it's like I haven't seen a lot of them, but I've noticed that like they're in the championship picture a decent amount of the time. So I can't speak to their actual characters.
Yeah, like I don't know. I don't really know myself, so I'm just assuming they got Toni Storm as a draw, and that's about it.
If they don't go the route, like I said before, they're doing this thing where I don't like this because I'm a big fan of Sonya Deville. I don't like how they have her doing this weird backstage thing where they're not having her compete. Because I honestly thought they were going to send her NXT, which would have made more sense. It's like loser leaves WWE type thing where it's like, okay, whatever. We knew that was because of the real life situation that she's facing with that stalker. So I thought potentially they could have put her on NXT and had her take the title off of EO. Right. She's good enough to be on the main roster, I think. But at the same time, I don't know. Who else do you really put it on? You could go babyface to babyface. It's not like it's unheard of. I did say Shotzi's the next babyface to get it. Maybe she's the next person, period, to get the title. Maybe they do put it on Shotzi. I don't know where else you go. I kind of see where Joe's going with that, though, as far as why put it on someone you thrive in NXT UK. And then Mercedes, just like they're flip-flopping so much with her. How can you take her serious as a champion as good as she is in the ring? Because like she goes from being introduced as this veteran from the Indies to going to the Robert Stone brand to going to Retribution to going back to NXT. It's too much.
I agree.
I'll say this about NXT though this week. Timothy Thatcher and Tommaso Ciampa versus Adam Cole and Roderick Strong was pretty damn good.
I'll second that. I've only watched highlights. So I haven't even watched the full detail, but watching some of the highlights from them, I'm like, okay, I gotta go back and watch them again because I didn't really watch the way I should have watched. But NXT always finds a way, bro. To find a good match and everything, they always find a way. So it was amazing.
They find a way.
They do.
You see what I did there?
NXT always finds the way.
Well, that's kind of a segue because like next week we'll be talking about how much Kushida and Johnny Gargano will probably steal the show at TakeOver next week. If they don't, I'll be shocked.
They should totally steal the show. I have no doubt in my mind that those guys should steal that show.
Moving on, kind of, if everybody's done with NXT, or
just wanted to say real quick. Let's see. Austin Theory and Leon Ruff had a good match. Legado del Fantasma and Grand Metalik had a good match.
Yeah. Lucha House Party versus that was a good match as well. They brought out as much as Legado del Fantasma tries to, put this narrative that Lucha Libre is not all about masks and flips. Well, they never said flips, but they said about the masks or whatever whatever. That was a damn good match. Definitely incorporated the Lucha Libre style. If you go back and watch that match, I will say, outside of Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher versus Cole and Roger Strong, those definitely neck and neck with who would say was the best match for me, at least personally, from 3 days ago.
Agreed. All right, man. So I think before we move on to NXT, Tommaso and Timothy Thatcher are now going to go up against
Grizzled. I'm sorry, I can't do it correctly. Young veterans.
So
it's gonna be pretty Smash Mouth. I'll say that. So I'll leave it at that.
Who you got? Who you guys got winning that match?
I'll go with Ciampa and Thatcher just because they usually go with these unusual tandems at times from the Dusty Rhodes Classics in terms of who's going to be the winner. I will say this, though. MSK versus Legado del Fantasma is going to be pretty good, too. You got two semifinal matches, potentially. I don't like to necessarily go 5-star ratings or whatever, but on a scale of 1 to 10, you got potentially 2 8 or 9 out of 10 matches right there. Legado del Fantasma versus MSK compared to, and also not compared to, but Timothy Thatcher and Tommaso Ciampa versus Grizzled Young Veterans on Wednesday. So to answer your question, I'll go Legado del Fantasma versus Thatcher and Thatcher. Thatcher, sorry, and Tommaso Ciampa. Yeah.
Joe is shaking his head yes, so that means you're in agreement, kind sir?
Yes. Yes. But I'm never calling MSK anything but the Rascals because that's what they are.
Yeah, that's weird when WWE doesn't just let people. At times they let people keep their names, and at times they don't. I don't know what that's all about. For the most part, TNA guys have kept their names, but Samoa Joe, Bobby Roode, AJ Styles, Eric Young. The only person they really made switch his name was Robert Stone, who's Robbie E. Which honestly might be an upgrade compared to what his gimmick is.
I want Punishment Martinez back, okay? I want Punishment Martinez back. All right.
No, leave that shit where it's at. That screams of indie, okay? Leave it there.
Punishment Martinez is a great wrestling name, and he deserves it. All right? Punish.
Tim got a vendetta against him, though, so it's almost like my vendetta.
It's an indie name. If you
almost like my vendetta against Kobe Lopez.
If you thought the Machine was going to let Punishment Martinez be on a marquee of anything WWE, you got another thing coming.
Vince got one of both ways, or the McSheen. Sorry, we'll edit that out. He wants it both ways though. That's why he got him wearing that Puerto Rican flag on his ring gear now, like you pointed out.
Oh my God! We just gonna move on from that because that part that pissed me off. That completely
no sign of that whatsoever on NXT for the whole year. The whole year that he was there. Like the moment they flipped him, they could have went that route, but they didn't. Like as soon as he gets on the main roster with Bad Bunny and everything, it's definitely gonna be Punishment Martinez and Bad Bunny versus Miz and Morrison at WrestleMania.
Speaking of which, they said Bad Bunny's been at the Performance Center training, so that's totally happening.
Because guys, the Machine is about the green. All right, he's like, let me get my Latino fans involved, my Latino X fans involved. And get some money out here like fast.
You don't have to do that though. Like you don't have to pander. Like this is a wrestling show, so I'm not gonna go down this rabbit hole completely. I do it enough on my other shows. It's just like with the Black Lives Matter thing, and when everything was taking place with George Floyd. Now all of a sudden everybody wants to tell us, yeah, we stand with you. It's pandering.
Hey man, look man, I'm not even gonna lie to you. Yeah, it's pandering. The Machine always panders, okay? He had Bad Bunny play his new song, Booker T, on the Royal Rumble. Who else performed at the Royal Rumble? Does anybody know who anybody else that performed at the Royal Rumble? Anybody? No?
No.
Exactly. Pure, unadulterated,
funk.
Yes. Listen, bro. Listen. Like, he is the ultimate. Like, he does not believe in these movements. He does not believe in them. Okay. He's had a billionaire versus billionaire match. All right, on his network, but yet he's removed some matches from a certain wrestler whose death is actually very much so inconclusive because people don't even know if it's CTE or if it was just something along the lines of where he was possibly murdered by a fellow wrestler.
You know what? I'm gonna say right here, me and some co-sign this because I don't care. I'm never gonna shy away from Chris Benoit. Was easily one of my favorite wrestlers growing up. I'll never change that. I don't agree with whether he did that or not. I'm not taking away from his in-ring ability. Never.
Evidence is inconclusive. I want
that, no, and I agree with that. That's what I'm saying.
It's
but I'm just saying for the people that want to be like either way, like whether they want to say he didn't do it or did do it, I'm not taking away from his in-ring ability. It's one of my favorite wrestlers ever.
Chris Benoit in the ring is one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. And the fact that that has happened in his life that has overshadowed what he does is a thing. The thing of it
really is
that people don't understand that there's so much other controversy behind that whole thing, and don't like even with freaking Dark Side of the Ring when they played it or whatever, it's inconclusive on both sides. If he was murdered, they really don't think he was murdered. If he committed suicide or whatever, they really don't know how he committed suicide or was able. No one knows how all this transpired to be, but it is what it is. I digress.
I'll say this real quick, and we can move on to SmackDown if everybody's good with that. Get rid of the Celebrity Hall of Fame wing if you don't want Chris Benoit in the Hall of Fame, because Mike Tyson is a convicted rapist. So there you have it. Don't tell me Chris Benoit can't be in the Hall of Fame then. You're going to have Mike Tyson in your Hall of Fame.
Pete Rose was indicted on federal charges for gambling and pandering with baseball games.
Yo.
Here's what I got to say about Major League Baseball.
Next.
For doing that. Because there's no reason Pete Rose shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. That's a whole nother thing, a whole nother podcast.
Is Donald Trump in the Hall of Fame for WWE?
He is. I was going to touch on that, but I already said last week. You already heard.
But the McSheen's wife was part of that administration, so he is.
She just mad. She just mad. I told you last week she mad because Joe Biden the tribal chief now. So.
Yeah. All right. So before we move to SmackDown,
that's why I'm trying to take the high.
Yeah. Before we move to SmackDown, I just want to really quickly say. Beach break took place for AEW, in which we saw Chris Jericho and MJF win the tag team battle royal. They had the Penelope Ford and Kip Sabian wedding. Shaq officially challenged Cody, and that match is taking place. Shaq and Jade Kagria. How you say that last name?
I just got lost. First of all, I'm going to say this. I know Joe's doing a lot of editing. You can keep this in. You cannot keep this in. You said Penelope Ford. I saw her in that wedding dress, and I almost lost it. That's all I'm going to say.
That's why I tried to just say it in there real quickly. So Shaq and Jade. I can't say her last name. Whatever. Shaq and Jade versus Cody Rhodes and Red Velvet are having a match on March 3rd. Okay?
Do they got the cream cheese icing on deck?
Main event took place in which Kenny Omega.
Wait, how you gonna come out with a wrestling name is Red Velvet? First of all, second of all,
the main event took place.
That is an event. That is an engaged woman. Okay. Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers.
Well, first of all, I don't know if Red Velvet. Wait, Red Velvet, or are you talking about Penelope?
Love Velvet.
No, I was talking about Omega the name Red Velvet. But Penelope, no, they actually got married at one point. That wasn't for the show. So they got married, apparently. This is breaking news on the Hot Take podcast. Her and Kip Sabian got engaged. I'll say this. I'm angry that Miro didn't turn and just flip out, because he could be like, this is the same spot that I was at on Monday Night Raw. I'm at another wedding yeah, exactly. You know where I'm going. I'm mad that Miro didn't turn.
I just want to say, at the end of that match, our boy Kenta popped up and attacked Jon Moxley.
The original GTS.
Exactly. With the Go to Sleep Club shirt on. Thought that was pretty cool.
I know I went on a tangent. I'm sorry. Anyway, I'll say this. Clearly, I need to go back to my barber in the next few weeks. Back to wrestling, though. I wish that I said this last week. I wish they would have went with Lucha Brothers instead of not Lucha Brothers, sorry. They did go with Lucha Brothers. Well, they went with Pac, sorry. They rolled Penta out of that. I wish they would have went with Young Bucks and just did the full-out heel turn, because now at least, I guess it kind of makes sense though if you're going to do MJF and Jericho because they're the heels, so you need a babyface tag team. They're kind of, you know what? They're kind of letting FTR be in the same position too. It's like some of these guys, the grass isn't always greener. Because where's FTR at now? And where's Miro right now? Because now you're like they're positioning Jericho and MJF to go after the Young Bucks. FTR didn't even get the rematch. And they're sitting at the prone position of being the number one contenders. You use the titles. The quote unquote storyline says, you're number one contenders because, what are they doing with them? They're having them feud with Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy. It doesn't really, or Jurassic Express. Like, they flip Private Party. Why are we not getting FTR versus Lucha Brothers?
I think they're trying to groom people too, because they realize that they're pushing the same people.
They are, but if they're not going after the tag titles, give me a secondary feud that I would mark out for. Everyone was like so clamoring for Young Bucks versus FTR, but I said it before, and I think Joe co-signed it. Like, Lucha Brothers are easily just as neck and neck with those two teams. So give me that. Like, why are FCR feuding with Jurassic Express? It's not that Jungle Boy isn't. Maybe I just don't like Marco Stunt. Maybe that's what it is. I'll let you guys take over from there.
Marco Stunt he doesn't even wrestle anymore. So, like, he's mostly out there as a ballet. And I don't know if it's because I think he tore his ACL or did something to his knee, something like that. But it didn't wrestle like that. You know what I mean?
I'd rather see Brody Lee Jr. than Marco Stunt.
Wow.
So
Friday Night SmackDown.
You don't gotta move on. You guys talk about the highlights of AEW. I'll say this: I'm potentially excited next week though about Omega and Kenta versus Moxley and Lance Archer. So we'll see where they go with that in terms of who comes out as the victor. But it is interesting that AEW has this working relationship with NJPW. It's easier for Kenta because he lives in Florida, so he doesn't have to be as strenuous with the quarantine restrictions. So we'll see if they incorporate other Bullet Club members like Tama Tonga and guys like that. And who's his brother / cousin? Joe would know that.
I don't remember his name. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay. So we'll see if they incorporate them into the storylines. We're going to full on, because if they have a working relationship, and like I said, Joe will speak this more so too, we might get Kota Ibushi versus Kenny Omega. Woo! So, because the only Kota Ibushi match I saw was versus Cedric, and they killed it in that Cruiserweight Classic. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of him.
There is a Kota Ibushi versus Kenny Omega match. Dear God, we are not worthy. Oh.
Or if they have him align with him because of the Golden Lover storyline, even Kota Ibushi versus any of the guys who are former Elite members, even versus Cody or Hangman or something like that. If we get to just incorporate more of NJPW guys into these storylines, it'll be interesting, and that's what WWE really needs to do. They need to do something to freshen up the main roster, mainly Raw, not even SmackDown, but they need some type of jolt. So there you have it. That's my take.
Eventually it'll happen. Eventually.
All right. Speaking of SmackDown, just had that take place yesterday, as we are recording this 24 hours after SmackDown. Guys, what stood out to y'all, you know what I'm saying, in the series of matches that we had last night?
First of all, I'm mad that Carmella got African American in 2021. Anyway,
Whoa, man, it's only the second season we're on YouTube. Come on, man. Come on, son.
It's Black History
Come
Month.
on, son.
It's Black History Month, and I'm mad she had a houseboy.
Hey, man, hey, Leon Ruff ain't granted us the interview yet, so I'm going to reach out to Reginald, man. I'm going to see if we can get Reginald on the show.
Oh, God.
Why we can't get Reginald, Joe?
Come on, son. He can't go back and watch the. He can't go back and watch the episode and be like, "Oh, so you think I'm an African houseboy?"
Yeah, you gotta edit that.
No,
on that,
I'm not editing
part,
anything.
on that part, when Kenny says that, just put the diesel like, and then that you just keep it going.
That's what I have to do.
little
No one's gonna know
horn.
what this means.
No, okay. We'll sit the highs. I'm sorry. I'm just angry about that. I'm super angry. I told y'all before I was angry about that. No, highlights of SmackDown though. We'll give the Team Player of the Week award to Daniel Bryan, losing clean to Cesaro for the second time in 3 or 4 weeks. Cesaro's push is long overdue, as we said before. What else will I say? Bianca Belair, they've been teasing her and Edge in terms of which champion they're going to choose. I'll say match of the night for me was that triple threat with Big E, Apollo, and Sami Zayn was pretty good.
Definitely. Before we get into the diatribe, if we do that, as far as breaking down that particular match, can we get into the greatness of heel Roman Reigns?
We're not worthy. Or the tribal chief.
That man, Joseph Anoa'i, known as Roman Reigns in the ring.
Wait. I think it's Anoa'i.
Okay, let me see if I can say it again. Joseph Anoa'i. Did I say it correctly?
Yeah.
No,
correct.
we were
Close enough,
wrong. We were wrong. He's got Yoko's last name. Anoa'i.
No, it's Anoa'i. I'm sure of it. Paul Heyman said it on SmackDown.
Well, it could have been how Paul putting a little spice on it. At any rate, this gentleman stood across.
Paul said no pork.
He stood across from a legendary wrestler and told him to acknowledge me with all conviction. Just gotta say, man,
Bro, I don't think
bro.
you guys are processing this the way that you guys ought to be processing this. I want you to understand.
I'm processing,
that,
man. I got my Roman Reigns shirt on today. I had to do it, man.
Sounds like something you do in an orgy.
But look, like honestly,
You wreck everyone to leave.
I gotta bleep you out like for the rest of the episode now. Honestly, bro,
He's
like
a bullhorn, I'm saying.
honestly, bro, like the fact that this man is dominating these promos. Like Edge was like, so you brought your boy out here. He was like, hey, Paul ain't gonna hurt you. Sounds good. Bro, typical heel stuff. Let's go, Joe Anoa'i.
That's been in the tuck.
I know.
That's been in the tuck for 6 years, bro. 6 years of forcing this man to be a face, and he's a natural damn heel.
I'll agree with that, but at the same time, it's almost a John Cena effect where it's like, I just need more personality for him. I don't need no suffering succotash and tater tots.
Well, that's the machine.
I think he could have been a presentable babyface. I think he could have been like, so maybe not the PG era babyface, but I've said it before. Like, if you listen to this dude on podcasts and stuff, he easily has the personality to be a presentable figure. It's like, it's this force-fed crap that the machine wants to push, and it's like, I don't care about that. Well, I saw that for 5 to 10 years from John Cena. He came back in 2016, 2017, cutting scathing promos on Miz and the Tribal Chief before he was Tribal Chief. He told him, he's like, if you want to run around calling yourself the big dog, it's called a promo. You got to learn how to do it. So,
But see now, if that were to happen, like if John Cena comes back and says he wants Roman Reigns would be like, listen, man, you've been in Hollywood the whole time, so I don't think you know how these things work.
he tried to flip that. No, Cena ate him alive. The whole Hollywood thing, that's the same thing that Dean Ambrose said. He basically repeated it, and like people were trying to give him credit. I'm like, nah, that was or Moxley now. Not that Roman or Joe or everyone to call him can't cut his own promos, but like I heard it before, so it's like it wasn't anything that I didn't hear. When Ambrose said it, it was just like, I think Cena would have been perfect People blame Cena for the whole PG era or whatever have you. I'm not gonna go against what my boss tells me to do. At the same time, none of us are. It's like, all right, whatever. I want to do this a certain way. You see it this way, whatever. The one guy that tried to, we saw what they did with him. They put him in the upper mid card. Certain guy from the Chicago area. We're not gonna say his name. He tried to go against the grain. Then they main evented John Cena and John Laurinaitis over him. Think about that.
98, baby.
Yeah. To go back to Roman though, it's been refreshing. That's why he's part of the reason why SmackDown is way better than Raw. It's not that even the main events way better, but like from top to bottom though, if you in comparison, their mid card with the IC Championship is not that much worse than like the secondary feud on Raw. The stuff with Sami Zayn, who should definitely win Money in the Bank this year.
Mm-hmm.
God willing, Big E is the Intercontinental Champion for the rest of 2021. And hear me out why I say that should happen. Big E with the match with Apollo Crews, Sami Zayn, to me was a highlight of that match, of the way that he can balance his ability to take a bump and also be able to give out bumps to where he looks dominant in the ring and also where he can look feeble to make you wonder if he's hurt. I think him being under Xavier and with Kofi, he's learned so much more, but he's more than ready to be a champion. He's more than ready to be, because he's had to watch. The ones that have to watch are the ones that are really ready to do so.
And remember,
and
John Cena had him under that John Cena tree for a little bit too.
Right. So he's ready. Big E is prime and ready. And him doing the New Day podcast, he's prime. You're not you probably won't out promo Big E because he's gonna make you look like an idiot. 2, he's strong enough in the ring and more athletic than what we give him credit for, because we haven't let him wrestle a full 20-25 minutes and just let him go without taking the clamps off. Because every time we know what he's gonna do, Big E's got the Uranagi, he's got that splash, he's got the outside the ring splash, he's got the belly to belly suplex, he's got the belly to belly suplex, but we haven't let him go. When you let him go, he will give you a spear outside the ring on the apron. He'll show you that he has the ability to be very much so a brawler style, and he shows how athletic he is because he'll do dives. Mm-hmm. No one remembers this. In NXT, he used to do an under the rope suicide dive. No one remembers that. That's where that freaking tackle came from in the first place. So I'm saying, once they take the handcuffs off, it's no holds barred. Big E should be the Intercontinental champ for the rest of the year, in my opinion.
Now, I don't want him for the rest of the year. I think he should have it for a sizable amount of time, just because I think he'll end up in the main event status toward the end of this year. So I don't want him to just be cemented, but right now that's a good place for him. Like last night was a good example of his in-ring ability. And as you were like naming off the wrestling moves, I was trying to count them, but I lost count. So I need a grand tally from you of how many moves Big E has.
He, sir, has 6. Okay, he has the big ending, the splash, the splash outside. Those are 2 different moves. So it's the splash outside, and then he has the belly to belly suplex. He has the close tight belly to belly suplex and the Uranagi. That's 6. Big deal, bro. See, Big E out here working on his plan.
It works for me. I just was trying to get, the tally from you, so I know what.
He's trying to get the Joe Freeline radar.
He beats the barometer. Right? He beats the barometer, bro. Come on, bro.
He does. No, you won't get anything out of me.
He's trying to see if he got the real meter or the fake meter when you're at the basketball or the football games when they say make noise.
Bro, no. He's got it. He's got
it. So before we round out this episode, man, Golden Shovel, introducing to our listeners and now viewers the golden shovel of the week. I will leave that to these two gentlemen. I don't want any parts of the golden shovel. I do enough with Punishment Martinez. So, gentlemen, I'll leave it to you. Golden shovel, let them know what it is and who's going to receive it this week and why.
I'll leave it to Joe to go first before I.
No. You leave it. Go first. No,
you go first.
You go first.
I give it to.
You go first.
Drum roll.
Terry Bollea, aka Hulk Hogan. Screw you. Burn in hell, sir. Don't ever come on my television screen again, especially during Black History Month. I don't care about your trashy matches with Andre the Giant, rest his soul. One of the worst matches in WrestleMania history. I don't ever want to hear you again talk about how historic and a great moment it was that you slammed him. Congratulations. Cesaro did that to Big Show without him probably jumping too. I don't care about your 24-inch pythons. You're racist. Rest in peace. I don't really mean that. WWE forgave you. You're not sorry because you're just sorry you got caught.
Hulk Hogan plays bass. Don't you dare talk about Hulk Hogan.
That's do I have anything else to add? Let me see.
Damian Priest arrow.
Yeah, no, you're done as far as I'm concerned. You said that your daughter should only date 6'8" black N-words that are worth X amount of money. You're definitely, and then you also want to say that God has a plan with COVID, and we need to pray the Almighty. Yeah, your Almighty is the ass kisser that you kissed up to Vince McMahon. That's your Almighty.
This golden shovel is getting deep. I gotta cut you off.
I'm done.
I gotta cut you off.
I'm done. That's it.
So for those of you that don't know, the golden shovel is just so we can bury people that we just do not want to associate with in the wrestling business.
Might well just call it a pipe bomb. Sheesh.
That's Jesus. That's a huge pipe. Like that's not even like a fair assessment of a pipe bomb. That's a huge pipe bomb. I'm not going after that. That's it. End the show. There's nothing else to say at that point. For the record, Terry Bollea is a horrible person. Like he's like, listen, like, number one, just outside of him being blatantly racist, you've been involved in some of the worst matches in wrestling history. The Finger Point of Doom, the Andre the Giant, which was a hyped match. And Andre should have won that match, but that
too.
I watched the Yokozuna joint, and I forgot that Hulk Hogan
came back at WrestleMania 9. Yeah, for no reason. After they had Bret Hart do the job, for no reason.
So let me break this down. Let me break this down for everybody. They got Yokozuna. Okay, he was so good they had no idea what to do with him in the first place. Bret Hart had the match. And he even says I didn't agree with this ending. So this is what happens. This was the original ending for the match. The title holder, Bret Hart, was going to lose to Yokozuna so he could get his push, his full push, so he could really go and get the gears going in the first place. Good old Terry Bollea calls up Mick Sheen and says, "Hey man, look, I'm not going to lie to you. That WCW money looking good right about now. What you got for me?" And then basically just says, you know what, buddy? Just because you've been so good to the company, how about we do this? How about the end of the match? Yokozuna wins the championship for 2 fucking minutes, 120 seconds. And then you punch him 3 times. He does a dramatic fallback, the leg drop, you pin him and become WWF heavyweight champion.
Oh, we can't forget about the powder. From what was his name?
Fuji. Yeah. Master Fuji. Do you know how? Excuse me. I don't care if he ever sees this. Do you know how much of a mitch you have to be to do that type of shit? That's the most petty thing in the. You basically have said, "I'm going to go get my bag, bro. Convince me not to," and you get your bag anyway, and then just the disloyalty of this man. And the fact that he's so overrated and so overhyped off a character that, to be honest with you, was created by him and McSheen. And to be honest with you, he probably didn't follow because of steroid use. And to be honest with you, above all those things, he has buried people over and over again who deserve to be champion. Andre the Giant.
Ted DiBiase.
Ted DiBiase for one.
Jake Roberts probably at some point. I don't even know if they feuded, but definitely should have. Roddy Piper.
Look, Macho Man definitely didn't get a good run because of good old Hulk. Okay, because of good old Hulk. So let's just call a spade a spade. This is not a good. He's not a good businessman.
He's not even good a human being.
He's done the finger point of doom twice. Once in TNA and once in WCW. Okay, a bad idea twice. He's done it like he's literally done it 2 times in a row, and made the sound decision. It's gonna work. No, it's not.
Let's say he buried Goldberg when Goldberg was hot because like he put him over, but then he, like you said, the finger point of doom kind of coincides with as much as we buried this age's Goldberg. He buried Goldberg.
I forgot about this man has buried so many people. What? All right, I'm done. Golden shovel goes to Hulk Hogan, and we'll put a picture of it, everything with this gold shovel by it. I can't do it.
There you go. I think that's a great way to start it.
He buried Shawn Michaels at a match he should not have won because
he shouldn't have in 2005. That was like his. Outside of the one against Halloween Havoc against Ric Flair, that was by far his best actual in-ring match. And he clearly got carried.
He got carried with The Rock too.
The nostrils.
He got carried with The Rock too. The Rock carried him through that too, but luckily they got the right ending for the match. Listen, you can have great matches and lose. But Hulk said, no, I got to beat Shawn Michaels. Why? Why? How? You're 60.
So I want to thank y'all for listening. Because this diatribe will go on way too long.
Oh, you got to give one too. Go on, give one a minute or less. You don't want to get a white mesh. He already gave one with the white mesh.
I don't have one this week. I'm good.
He's 60. 60.
Follow us on Instagram at Hot Take Wrestling. Follow us on Twitter at Wrestling Take. Please like, share, and subscribe. We are on YouTube. Find us on YouTube on NMG TV. Okay?
The only thing viable in life that Hulk Hogan has ever said is say your prayers and take your vitamins.
That he didn't follow because he was on steroids.
We're also on SoundCloud.
I just threw my phone, sorry.
Want to thank you guys for tuning in, man. It should be a good one for the people. We are now on video. I'm so glad we're back. We're on video. Like this is gonna be gold on video.
Terry Bollea was 60 years old and beat 41-year-old Shawn Michaels.
I want you to understand something. This last 10 minutes could potentially go viral. That's all I'm saying.
I want to say it again so people can understand. Terry Bollea with 2 bad knees and a bad back.
And the Crimson Mask.
And a Crimson Mask beat 41-year-old in his prime, best wrestling of his life, Shawn Michaels.
I got to get ready for another podcast. Guys, it's always a pleasure. This is, we coming in hot, man. Season 3, episode number 2.
I'm drinking because of this podcast. I want you to understand that I'm getting drunk because of this podcast. I'm still mad at it.
I like where this is going, man. I like where this is going. Just want to say it. All righty. So, as always, Joe.
We want the smoke. There you go. We'll leave it at that.
Matter of fact, yeah, in this podcast with the Street Profits music, because that's definitely what y'all was just on right now. So not there, not here, but right there. Street Profits. Thanks for listening to the Hot Take Wrestling Podcast. The Hot Take Wrestling Podcast is brought to you by the NMG Network, a division of NMG Enterprises, LLC. Any, mini, money, whoa, turn up now, I'm about to blow up and y'all don't even know.